that bottle of wine. Grab your favorite glass, pour a couple of fingers of scotch in it. Get that stick, light it, and blow. It's time to hang with Steel Sharpen Steel After Dark. Hello, Sharpies. How's everybody doing today? This is Tom Cunningham with Steel Sharpen Steel. I am hopeful that one of my fellow co-hosts, Joy, who is in the midst of transferring to her production suite, is going to be joining me a little bit later. But we wanted to have a show for you because we haven't had a show for you in a little while, and so much has happened that we wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to talk to you all about some of the things that have happened. Anthony Turner saying that I have him watching Housewives. I don't even know why I have y'all watching Housewives, but that's good. Anytime we can celebrate and enjoy the aspects of popular culture, we have no problem with that. It's good to have some balance in the Steel Sharpen Steel family. We certainly love all of the Sharpies who are coming to watch the show. And so we do have some things to talk about today, not the least of which are some of the top news stories that are taking place in the world today. And we know that there are several things that are on everybody's mind, and so that's one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to talk about, was some of the things that are happening in the universe today. And so because of that, we wanted to make sure that we had a show. And I don't want to get too much into some of our big topics just yet, because I think there's a big difference between engaging with a host and engaging with just you guys. But if anybody does want to ask questions, pose questions, tee up some questions, please enter your comments into the chat, and I can both put them on screen or actually address you directly. And just so we know, if there are any Sharpies who have an interest in maybe coming on as a guest, we'd be happy to have you as guests as well. And I can very easily send you the invite link, and as long as you have a stable internet connection, we can talk on air. Hey, CJ, we are happy to be back. We are thrilled to be back. And as I say, every time that we cannot come on, whether it be just because we just happen to be just too tired, just woe out, it does impact us, and it does hurt us, because we do love doing this show. So I'm happy to be here, and we will see what we gwine see. One of the things that I'd like to know about you guys, do we have any Matrix fans in the building? Have you all seen all of the foofara and foolishness that they are putting out about the Matrix? I know Keanu is moving a little bit more slower than he did, but I am intrigued. I'm glad to see, I don't know if you all saw this, but Lawrence Fishburne actually does have a little cameo in the movie. They haven't completely abandoned his version of Morpheus, even though Yahya Abdul-Mateen is going to be playing Morpheus in this. They're kind of doing it the same way they did with the Oracle. So in the first movie, the Oracle was Sister Girl, and then by the time the second movie had come about, Sister Girl had to be replaced, and so, you know, it's the Matrix, and so you can recreate your avatar in whatever way you want, and so that's what it looks like. That Yahya is actually the actual Morpheus, and not a brand new Morpheus adjacent character. It is actually Morpheus, and that has been confirmed in the latest trailer. It actually does show Lawrence Fishburne as Morpheus, and they explain that bringing Neo back out of his self-induced resurrection slumber or whatever, they're trying to reacclimate him, and so they do tease that original Morpheus is still a thing, and that Yahya is just new Morpheus. More slender Morpheus, more closer to what Lawrence was in the first movie. I think that Brother Fishburne actually, he had them John Wick pounds a little bit on him, and so he did not have the capability of slenderizing enough to make it into this movie, and so they did recast him. But, you know, Carrie Ann Moss, is still there, and we've got obviously Keanu Reeves and a lot of other new faces. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Perhaps not looking forward to it quite as much as I am for Spider-Man No Way Home. They just dropped a brand new trailer today, which is like basically the first scene of the movie, and I don't have any interest in seeing that. Some of my other podcasts, if you happen to watch me on Nerdorama, I don't need to see any more about Spider-Man. You've been putting way too much stuff out. Everybody knows Toby and Andrew are going to be in the film. I just want to see it. I have already purchased my tickets. I've already purchased my tickets for Matrix Reloaded or Resurrections. Those are the two big movies of December. And, every movie that we think as a big blockbuster movie has been something that people have said, well, this is going to be the movie that returns movie theaters back to prominence. But I don't know about y'all, but it was tricky trying to get some Spider-Man tickets. And I saw foolish people paying like hundreds of dollars for Spider-Man tickets on eBay and whatnot. I just don't even understand all of that. I want to see the movie for sure, but it wasn't going to be a situation where I was going to be paying scalper fees. That's just nutty, nutty, nutty. But those are the big movies. Folks ain't. I don't know, CJ. Listen, CJ says folks ain't going back to the theaters. Literally every show at I have two theaters I go to. I have a theater that's near work, and I have a theater that's near the crib that just opened up. And the shows were sold out. And this is Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is a big market. Los Angeles is a movie market, so obviously, you have more industry professionals here. That may weigh into it. But when I tell you that all of the evening shows, and this was the day the tickets went on sale, all of the evening shows were sold out except little pits and patches in that front row, and nobody wants to see a movie in the front row, even when you're about 10 feet back. But nobody wants to look at a movie like this. And so I had to go to an early show, the 11:30 show, which was not completely sold out, in order to get a ticket. And that's crazy. And now it's all sold out. And so, like I say, people are hype about this movie, and that's perfectly fine. I think we could all use a little escapism. I'm perfectly fine with hello. Sorry about that. I might have another sneeze. All my sneezes come in threes typically, but except for today apparently. I am happy to have some escapism, and I have seen each of the Marvel movies that has come out. You're right. The theaters are booked in the big cities for sure. Anthony says my theaters are looking booked and busy. Thank you, CJ. It's not the COVID, it's just dust. I have seen each of the Marvel movies in the theater, all the Marvel movies that have been released since COVID. So I saw Black Widow, I saw Shang-Chi, I saw Eternals, and I'm going to see Spider-Man. I even saw Venom. I took my sons to see Venom, Let There Be Carnage, which was trash. That was a trash, useless film. But Sony is banking on the Spider-Man thing. They had a Spider-Man tie-in in the final post-credit scene of Venom. And so I have been going to movies. They have been increasingly becoming more and more full. And so I'm double vaxxed and boosted, and I wear my mask in the theater. And so I don't feel uncomfortable going to the theaters. Other people may feel a little bit differently, but I thought perhaps with Omicron coming out that might have dimmed enthusiasm. But unless a whole bunch of people are just not going to use their tickets, it certainly looks like it's going to be a really, really, really big opening weekend for Spider-Man. And it remains to be seen because The Matrix Resurrection, that is also available on HBO Max, like all of the Warner Brothers releases have been this year. You do have to have the ad-free HBO Max service, so that's a slight change. This is the first time that they've actually advertised that. But it does look like, I'm going to go see it in the theater just because I want to see The Matrix on a big screen. I still remember the first time I saw the original Matrix movie on the big screen and really enjoyed it. The other two films kind of fell off for me, but this looks like it's perhaps a return to form, so I'm excited to see it. And I'll definitely watch it again on HBO Max when I get back home. We are about 10 minutes in. Speaking of HBO Max, another thing that has returned on the pop culture front, the Sex and the City reboot. And just like that, has debuted on HBO Max. Do we have any City fans who are... Oh, look, Sharon Letman is going to hop in with me. Hey, Sharon.
City fans who are... Oh, look, Sharon Letman is going
to... Okay, and like usual, she is watching the show instead of just coming on the show. So she's got the little echo. I turned her off. Is she laughing? Let's see if she's turned it off so that we can just have the show. Okay, it's off now.
I just want to save our viewers from your nerddom. And Joy's flight just landed. So.
Oh, it just landed. Okay, so fine. Hey, Sharon.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you, CJ. She's a huge fan of Sex and the City. Yes, how do you all feel? Did you watch it, Sharon?
Never missed the episode of my life.
Okay, but have you watched And Just Like That?
It hasn't started yet.
It has started.
When did it start?
It's on HBO Max now. That's why I'm raising the issue. No, child.
I'm about to sign off and go watch it.
Well,
my God, have you seen the opening episode?
I have not completed the opening episode.
For some reason, I thought it opened on January 9th.
No. Wait, so is Harlem like the black sex? Okay, so this is Taj asking this question. Now, I would say, to me...
Let's run the world.
I think that this last season of Insecure has had more Black in the City vibes to me. I have really enjoyed
maybe a young version. Did you watch Sex and the City?
I did.
That was made for those of us that went through our first divorce revolution.
No, I get it. I'm just saying in terms of the girl power energy, like this last episode especially, they had a little girls trip.
Insecure is like kids. Sex and the City.
They're young, sure. But they also had flashbacks.
Look, Sex and the City was my therapy. I didn't have to pay a mofo because I had Sex in the City and revamped my entire 30-something life. Denigrate the first round of Sex in the City with Kitty Bop Insecure. And I don't miss an episode of Kitty Bop Insecure, but it's Kitty Bop.
Okay. Thank you, CJ. Co-sign on Sharon. That's fine.
50-something chicks, Sex in the City is our mofo therapist before it was okay to go to therapy.
Okay, but let's just I'm not talking about me as a person who is now 50, 20 years after Sex in the City was on TV. I'm talking about I'm talking about the current generation of people who are at the same age as the Insecure people now.
I need our Cosmo audience to get them. The Cosmo audience,
you trying to have me
tell them that it's clear, Thomas Lee Cunningham IV, that you never watched Sex in the City.
No, I watched every episode of Sex in the City.
Okay, but you
every single episode. I said this final season of Insecure is giving me some, like, if you watch the last episode of Insecure, and I'm not trying to turn this into a pop culture podcast.
I'll give it a little. It's a pop culture podcast. Get over it.
Okay. Sex in the City is for grown ass women. Yes. Okay, fine. That is true. But you weren't grown 20 years ago.
Yes, we were.
You were the age of the same as these Insecure chicks who were in their 30s. We had all these
goddamn phones. We had a different world. Sex in the City round one. Okay, different world.
It was a different world. It was for sure. First of all, it was in standard definition. So you didn't even have widescreen. That's how old that shit is. You could barely see it.
It could have been fuzzy. It could have been rabbit ears back in our day. Sex in the City was fair.
Sex in the City is a bomb show. I'm not trying to deny it was. I am really confused, and I'd love to hear what
the millennial secures all of that, but I ain't no millennial.
No, I get it. So
and the real stuff that we dealt with back then is not an Insecure. It's like, oh, that's cute. Okay, now you give me some Cardi B and some Megan Thee Stallion, I'll jam it all night. But we wasn't walking around naked back then either. So, it's a whole lot.
So CJ says if you look at the first season, it looks like UHF.
Hey, like I said, get me some rabbit ears.
So
we wasn't missing the episode. Remember, we had no DVR. We had to be sitting in front of that TV.
You did have to sit in front of the you had to be
we knew where all of us was at that time on that day.
Yeah, ain't no more HBO. Wasn't no HBO Max on demand. You had to be there on Sunday evening, either to watch the East Coast feed or to watch the West Coast feed. I mean, for you it was just East Coast, but for us we had choices because you could watch HBO West or HBO East if you wanted to get your fix early. That's how that worked. How do you Sex and the City fans feel about how the way they've dealt with Samantha's removal from the show, though? That's the feedback that I got.
They canceled the previous episode, the previous season a couple years ago because she said no. And then they, the demand, it's come full circle.
Right.
In terms of the demand. How many episodes are they in? Have they done more than one episode?
Yeah, it's yes. I think they released everything. CJ says they thought it was classy. I think there's 12 episodes in this first season.
And all of them are out? You said it's on HBO Max?
It's on HBO Max, yeah.
I'm gonna be up all night.
Yeah, it's an exclusive. I think it's an HBO Max exclusive.
Thank you, Sister Graves.
2 episodes are out. Okay.
Tom is on some. Y'all, I'm starting to believe Tom ain't watched it. I don't know about the rest of y'all.
I told you that I haven't finished the first episode. I said that.
Lord Jesus.
But I've had somebody who told me that they had watched 4 episodes. That's why I'm confused.
That means they lying.
Yeah, they lying. Yeah, because it is. It's only 2. It's only 2 episodes on here. I have to give them credit. Sarah Jessica Parker, they did a good job airbrushing her.
Oh, Father God.
On this cover image. Charlotte's looking a little bit sketchy, but that's okay. Miranda pretty much looks the same as she always did. So
we look sketchy. So,
I agree. It is going to be tough without Samantha, but I am definitely going to be watching the show. So now that I do have Sharon on here, and Sharon likes to talk about our political stuff, why don't we get into it? First up, I would like to talk about this clown. Now, I am so pleased that the appeals court, and of course the appeals court moved actually with lightning speed in terms of rendering their judgment that he was not going to prevail in his attempt to block the January 6th inquiry and the request for his documents. However, they have given him a 2-week continuance as he tries to escalate it through the Supreme Court, and that will dovetail into another discussion about the Supreme Court. But for you, Sharon, considering the additional scrutiny that he is facing, Letitia James has stepped out of the gubernatorial race in New York. She's running again for attorney general.
Really?
And she has backed out, and I think it's because she thinks by holding Trump's feet to the fire, she's a sure shoe-in for attorney general, and I think she wants to finish that job. I think she wants to try to get him on something, and perhaps
she should have thought about that before she jumped in and out. That's kind of whack. There's something fishy about that.
Well, I mean, you don't know. I think one thing that also emerged from her this week, which is should be of interest, is that she has actually now issuing subpoenas to have him come in to talk about the fraud. So she's on the civil side. Vance is on the criminal side, but there's a little bit of overlap. She's also facilitating and assisting in the criminal inquiry, so she's got toes in both pools. But now that he is no longer immune just on GP as the president of the United States, it remains to be seen. He, of course, is going to do everything that he can to continue to push against the subpoena and the request for his comments. But what do you think, Sharon, about these latest 2 developments for him and what it means as we head into election year 2022? And do you think there's going to be sufficient time to get some real traction on this before the midterm elections potentially change the entire landscape of the House and Senate?
Look, this is my prediction from now. This is a big one, right? While we busy being progressives and being hoity-toity and intellectual monsters and all of that, the Republicans are inside each other's throats right now. There's an offense and defense game going, right? That's why all of a sudden all these people are out. I mean, even Pence has the audacity to be doing New Hampshire. Okay. So, and if you notice, my little raggedy governor has been silent. Right? You haven't seen a Ron DeSantis press conference, a Ron DeSantis national news. They're all in the hull of the ship, right? They're all sitting around with the strategists because something is up. There's a faction of Republicans trying to take Trump out silently. I would not be surprised if they're not feeding Merrick Garland, feeding some of the. I'm serious.
I hear you.
What's going on? All of a sudden, Chris Christie's on the tour. All of a sudden, Pence is out there. All of a sudden, Ted Cruz talking crazy shit. I don't even know why he would even attempt to run again.
I know that's right.
But the GOP is in complete disarray. They got the crazy loonies ramping it up higher. Their squad. What is that? Boebert.
Boebert,
Marjorie,
Congress Critter, and Matt Gaetz.
And the Gober, what's his name?
Gosar.
Gosar.
Yeah, Paul Gosar.
Can you believe in our right mind that mofo is in Congress?
Well, I can believe anything because all it takes is those idiots to elect you. So yes, but
let's educate our audience who will probably already know this. Every congressional seat represents 700,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? These people don't elect themselves.
Mm-mm.
On what planet does somebody cast a vote for that man?
I mean, his last didn't. Are you talking about Gaetz or are you talking about Gosar?
Gosar. I ain't think about him. Matt Gaetz is filth, farm filth. That's a daddy's child. That's
right.
That's everything you never want to even imagine could be real time. But we grew up with Matt Gaetz. We grew up with them type of people, right? So he is riding his father's coattail. Let's go back to the loony bins, okay?
But do you think he is in any way different from the loonies that elected Boebert and
Boebert
Marjorie
is a soccer
Taylor
mom.
Greene?
Boebert is a soccer mom. That she ain't nothing but a Karen, right?
Right.
We're not gonna act like people not sitting around talking about bosoms. Let's not pretend, because that's why we lose, right? So everything
I
she's
get it.
doing is typical cunning America, right? She's just playing to the ranker. She's using her figure. She's using her looks. White people vote for shit like that, right? She's a school board member going to Congress, right? I got two of them tricks on our school board that would easily rep, okay? Because I go up to the school board and I light them up regularly. So, and even Marjorie Taylor Greene, I really don't understand that. But again, another soccer mom. Once somebody slaps them on the ass and they demoralize, then they'll tone their shit down, right? But they are typical soccer moms, Karens in the neighborhood. That Gosar man, I just don't understand. I don't get it.
Well, when you think
things come out and do that in a town, when you are so off the rails that there is a constituency that decides you are who should represent them, I wouldn't drive through them neighborhoods. I wouldn't drive through that congressional. That makes me nervous.
But when you think about how Trump rode for them, I think it's a lot easier to understand. I mean, these people came in with his endorsement because, and Marjorie Taylor Greene was a straight up QAnon person. So in 2018, when they have to, 2018, right? So when they have to come in, or no, it was 2020 for Taylor Greene, right? Did you go on mute?
No, I'm right here.
Oh, okay. So
I'm reading his comments.
When you deal with Trump's endorsement and Trump is running and it's a major election year and turnout is higher, then I get it. Because you got to figure in all of these districts, even though they represent 700,000, it's not like 700,000 are voting. So if you got 200,000 voting and all you need is 100,000, it's 100,000 crazy people in a district.
Let's be clear, right? I'm not even, like I said, Marjorie Taylor Greene and soccer mom queen
Lauren Boebert.
They're nothing but a more sophisticated version of Palin. Okay,
Ooh,
They're
sophisticated. Ooh.
yeah. I mean, they're soccer moms. These people they don't come from wherever that Alaska chick came from, right? She's a different
Priscilla.
breed. She's
Well,
a
she was
different
a hockey
breed.
mom.
She's a different breed of common. Okay, she's a different breed. Okay, the other two crazy chicks, those are straight soccer moms. They straight soccer moms, right? They're straight suburbia and loony bin, and they say what those people think. Mm,
Yeah.
mm. They say just like Trump. When I saw in where your parents Sarasota. What's the villages? When I saw the people in the villages when Trump drove through there talking about white power, and he
Ooh.
must have been 80 crusted fuck, right? And an 80-year-old man in his golf cart talking about white power came out of somebody's corporate boardroom. Trump and those chicks say what those people think,
Mm.
right? Mr. Flying, and this QAnon thing, like I said, the Republicans are in a war room saying we just cannot be these people much longer, right? We cannot engage these people much longer. So they're doing something bold. They say, well, you got to take the head of the lion off, right? So they got to either get Trump arrested or get him indicted in some way, right? Or they got to make sure that they fight fire with fire. They cannot continue on this path because it's becoming way too uncivilized for the civilized.
Well, I think it will be interesting to see. I agree that there are definitely forces moving because you know who you're not hearing. You're definitely not hearing Mitch McConnell jump up and defend. You're definitely not
That's
hearing
my point. There's a lot more.
the establishment GOP that was condoning prior to January 6th. They were willing to ride with him.
Because they're in the boardroom.
And you haven't heard Marco Rubio jump into his defense. You have all of the people who were.
You have not heard Ron DeSantis.
Well, yeah, Ron DeSantis is
okay, who sniffs his booty, right? Yeah, you have not heard him, and he is coming after him, right? Trump is so unglued. He's going after Netanyahu. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's
the lack of stability is same way that what's his name that ran for governor of Virginia. The best line I recently heard is stop running against Trump, right? There's a huge faction that has gotten beyond him. McAuliffe, right? So, and the squad came out strong. They were like, so you didn't invite us in, but you blaming us for your loss? Right? So that was all on Terry McAuliffe. He was I said this in the last show, he was way out ahead. It is time. People, society, the majority has gotten beyond Trump. And what they're doing is to stop running backwards. They're trying to come forward. I mean, Chris Christie has been real bold, right?
Chris Christie straight up said he gave me COVID. It is undeniable that Donald Trump gave me COVID.
Gradual over the last week and a half that now he's gotten real brazen, right? And all the drip, drip, drip. He is the former president of the United States. He has no rights. He has no privileges. And it's going all the way up to Supreme Court. And his draws are dirty, right? Period.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of them know they're in Congress. They got the confidential files. And a lot of them are like stepping back, like, we just won't fight it. Because they want him out the way. Go ahead.
No, I think it's an interesting balance that they're playing because there's clearly, you might call it like the Tea Party sort of faction that is definitely still riding with him. But to your point, the power brokers, the institutionalized power brokers in the party definitely seem to be stepping away from him. The question is whether or not the rank and file voters are still enamored enough of him that there's going to be some sort of backlash. I mean, they're going to vote because they want the majority right now, and so they're definitely going to try to take back both the House and the Senate, and there's a good chance that they could. Bear in mind, people, one of the things that Matt Gaetz has said, believe the GOP when they say it. Matt Gaetz has said, when we retake power, we're not going to be hand-holding with the Democrat and all this and singing in the warm rain and all this other stuff and legislate with them. We're going to use the subpoena. First of all, bro, the Democratic Party has been issuing subpoenas with teeth. That's why Bannon has been hit with a contempt charge. Don't get it confused. The Democrats are doing what they need to be doing. The problem is that the people that they are targeting in some of these subpoenas are choosing to play a long game because they think they can wait things out. But SCOTUS, and this is why I wanted to pivot to their other ruling, SCOTUS and their attack on Roe is getting really serious, and it makes me wonder, both with the ruling in maintaining the status quo on Texas's 6-week ban right now, and also opening up for consideration the additional law that could literally kind of basically be the on-ramp for dismantling Roe completely, whether or not they are going to exert even a little bit of their institutional will to provide cover for an issue that they know has no constitutional basis. And my guess is that they ultimately would not act in his favor, but whether or not they would take their own sweet time in doing that is an open question. And since there's only 14 days that the appeals court has given for reconsideration as he tries to escalate through the Supreme Court, he doesn't have a lot of power. The Supremes know that there is no basis upon which he might prevail in this issue. It remains to be seen whether or not they will even agree to hear it, because on the merits they know that it's a failure. And if they do decide not to hear it, and those documents do come into the possession of the January 6th committee as early as January, that is going to completely upset the entire game table. And it may give the GOP a reprieve because he'll be taken off the board, but there's going to be massive upset in the Trumpites because the rank and file GOP voters, there's a good 27, 32, 35% who are still very much Trumpites. And when their savior goes down, they don't care about him being indicted by
he's not going to win. I just said they are having a good war, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he is on the sidelines. He is building his own media empire. Nunez is leaving Congress to run it.
First of all, that ain't no... That shit is hilarious. He don't even have a working web page nor technology because he's being sued for the platform. There is no platform, and Devin Nunes went from suing Twitter cows into leading as CEO Trump's bullshit platform, which is amazing. Going ahead, Devin, please leave. I can't wait for you to leave because you need that seat. Yeah, that's what it is.
You are confused. The vacancy of Rush Limbaugh and all those evangelicals who died of COVID, who was taking up radio airwaves, there's a huge vacuum. He has been planning this, his failure. That Rush ran the party. He ran everything we could not see because we didn't listen to his platform. He created the Tea Party. He evolved it. They're trying to replace Rush and the dude at Fox that.
No, it's Tucker. It's Tucker Carlson.
I'm talking about
Hannity.
No, the Roger.
Oh, Roger Ailes.
These are the architects. We ain't talking about those little simple personalities. They are going after filling the void of Rush and Roger Ailes. That is what the young bucks, the Nunez, who are our peers, right, who are like, Congress ain't got no power. You have no idea how much money Trump sucked out of society, both government and private sector, with his used car salesman ass. He is sitting on kabillions, and he has his little tribe that he has to expand, the people that know how to work around the systems, and he is collecting them all. And a significant percentage of them are getting indicted, right? So they feel like they got to get people back in power to save them from getting indicted.
Well, Andrea's asking the question of why is Build Back Better taking so long? It did pass the House. It has not passed the Senate. And that's the sticking point. Joe Manchin is really throwing a lot of salt in the game. He is I mean, Cinema may even be more on deck than Manchin was, but it was the two of them, Cinema and Manchin, that were the main sticking points of making sure that they'd be able to get it through the House. And even then, it would only be possible through reconciliation because they definitely don't have a 2/3 majority to get it, or the 60 votes to get past cloture. So it would have to be, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing that has disappointed me. Everybody's been trashing the Democrats in this chat. I can't understand why the Democrats didn't sit down with the Lincoln Project and say, will you just run our campaign on what Build Back Better is all about? Will you just run our offense strategy to message? You know, it's amazing to me how many people actually know what Build Back Better will do. But in terms of the airway, in terms of owning the narrative, in terms of, it's just amazing how when Obama, what was it, 2008, 2009, when he did the whole rebuild thing, they had a great PR campaign. And Joe Biden led it. When he went around and did every major city, he bought back the Motor City. I feel like absolutely nothing is being done in any strategic way, that they have the Lincoln Project sitting right there. Run our offense strategy. Celebrate what we are doing your way to where Republicans can hear our voice.
But do you think the Lincoln Project is actually engaged in trying to work with Democrats, or was their focus on making sure that Trump was defeated? Because I don't see.
But that's the same thing. You know,
well, I mean,
enemy of my enemy is my friend, right?
Well, that's true.
A lot of the Lincoln Project people, as you know, right, made sure Joe Biden won. They didn't make sure Donald Trump lost. They made sure Joe Biden won.
Yeah.
So the enemy of the enemy being my friend, this man, the void of proper delivery of the benefits. I know there's no city by city campaign because it should be going on in my little city. You know, there's just no real education about the opportunity. They're like, my people are waiting for it to get passed. I'm like, how do they even know what's happening? You know, and again, I don't really have my head in the sand, but I'm not, you know, I'm not a soccer mom, I'm a swim mom. So I'm around, but everybody I'm around are crazy ass MAGA people, you know, and I don't even socialize with them, but I could just, the body language. But even what average America is doing, I'm out there doing what average suburban America is doing, right? I'm doing my own little research study. And I don't hear anything that says we should be proud of what's happening. You know, when you think about how our gas just got stabilized after, 5 weeks of hysteria, gas got stabilized. That's huge. I would be running those massive commercials with the oil rigs, we're going to make sure you get that reasonable gas. It's the holiday. Run some positive shit about what's going on. Stop giving these boring ass speeches that even the commentators talk over. The best thing Joe Biden has done in December is when he had a cold. That voice was sexy as fuck. And the news was, I was like, what the hell is wrong with you? They were like, he got a cold. I said, that's a cold? That's some swag. That thing sounded good. So I was like, run it. Do his commercials in his nasal voice. I just don't get it. I know PR is my background, so I have a different lens from that. But I'm like, I'm pro Joe, and I'm just like, y'all working real hard, and nobody knows it. It's just, or everybody thinks you're not doing enough, and this clown is out here clowning you.
Right.
It baffles my brain.
Well, one of the things that is especially tricky about this is that I think Biden and Harris were anticipating that their decisive victory would roll into some momentum to getting things done. And what ended up happening is that we had 2 solid months of you stole it, you're not legit, this, that, and the third, and then all the way through past January 6th up until Inauguration Day, instead of having that 2 months of like, we can do the world tour and get everybody on the same page, and we're ready for the parades, and we're ready to do this, that, and the third, and all of that. Instead, what you got was lies, lies, lies. Biden's not legitimate. He's not the whatever. And that is literally carried through the entire year. It's not like you don't have sitting congresspersons still making that case. It's not like we didn't have months of additional audits in Arizona and Georgia and Texas and all these different, Wisconsin and Michigan. We had all of these things. Look at Sharon flexing with the 86 shirt from Homecoming. You have there wasn't any cooling off period. They have kept the temperature up, and because Manchin and Sinema have created such roadblocks, we weren't able to get a major legislative accomplishment in this opening year. And so there hasn't been a way to turn. And you still had the re-escalation of COVID. And you had the spike in gas prices, which, really hit people in their pocketbooks at a time when the checks that had been coming had stopped being issued. And so it's been a very, very rough time. And I agree that your messaging issue, hey, there's my boy. I agree that your messaging issue is at a core problem for the Democratic Party, and more so even for Biden and Harris, who has become, frankly, a bit of a cipher. I'm not going to talk about my sister.
You're being real nice.
Well, she ain't around. I'll
being
just
real
say that.
kind. We'll leave it at that.
Ma'am.
You're being real kind.
Ma'am. Where you at, ma'am? Because you sure ain't cleaning out the dorms at Howard. I'm just saying. So, we do have some challenges. I think that the one thing that is going well is this pursuit of January 6th. January 6th has them on defense. And you've only got like a small party of crazy. You got Jordan, you've got Gosar, you've got Boebert Green, and you've got Gaetz. Those are the ones out there now. It used to be 20, 30 of them. But now it's, you got that Johnson for Wisconsin's crazy dumbass. But other than that,
I mean, there's an A squad and there's a B squad. Okay,
correct.
And I don't
nobody's scared of the B squad anymore.
Well, yeah, I don't think anybody's scared of the A. Well, internally,
right.
The difference here is somebody said it earlier this week, and I was like, okay, I'm really starting to believe this. There are so many factions of it's like the Klan, right? The Klan had on hood. You never knew who was underneath the hood, right? So I think that there's a meeting saying, dude, put the hood on. You're just too loud. You're just too full with rancor. Let's go back to the hood days. We can get this done. Put that damn hood on. Right? So the lack of civility in this country that is infectious, not just our elected official, they're a representative of what's really happening. And I have finally accepted, as I stopped living in my emotion, to realize this thing started when John McCain was running for president. And it was the Sarah Palin crew that Trump latched onto. All that about, these people believe anything I say, that all of that is true, right? And it does not stop with him. It doesn't stop right now. That's the difference. It does, but the other ones, like if we can get him out the way, we can have a fair fight with crazy.
Right. Well, because he's taking out him takes all the wind out of the sails of crazy. They don't have enough of a wherewithal to do anything without invoking him. Just like the message to McAuliffe was stop running against Trump. They don't have a choice but to run on Trump because they are literally empty hats without him. So when he gets off the board, you're going to see ain't nobody really trying to sweat you, Marjorie Taylor Congress critter. Like literally nobody is sweating you because he's out of play. He's not going to be able to say anything. He's going to be literally sidelined in a way that he has not been in a long time. And then once the bloom comes off that rose and he actually has to pay for the crimes that he has committed, and he actually has to pay the IRS, which we know the IRS don't play. They will get their money from you and they will lock you up if they don't.
I want him slumped over on a golden throne like Elvis, or I want him in an orange suit.
Oh, see. Yeah, I want it. I want it all. I want
You want them slumped
indictments.
over in a gold, in a
I
gold, in
I
a gold
want
prison toilet in a
I
jumpsuit.
want Deutsche Bank. I want Deutsche Bank coming in at the end, like at the end of Trading Places, when the Dukes lost all their money, and he's like, immediately put the Dukes seats up for sale, liquidate all of their assets. That's what I want. I want the end of Trading Places with Trump. Like, that's what I want. I want Trump in Coming to America 3, sitting by the side of the river, except Hakeem does not give him millions of dollars. He just walks by and says, aren't you Trump? That's what I want. I want it all. I want devastation. I want scorched earth. I want him eliminated, and I want his children, especially them two.
Think how quiet they've been.
Oh, they're super.
I'm, I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned.
I think Eric is on Mars.
I'm very.
Don Jr.'s trying to be cute, but
They
Eric,
are invisible and silent. That just means they're having closed door meetings.
well,
And they have no platform. So Trump is arrogant enough to realize that he needs control of his own media. They're trying to build their own Twitter. Not that they can do it, but they think that they can.
well, there's too many pieces of competition. I mean, Parler tried, Gab tried. There's 8chan. There's a whole bunch of places. Reddit subthreads. There's all sorts of places where these little critters can try to do their thing. The problem is none of them have the reach of the platforms from which they have been banned. No, there is no right-wing Twitter. There is no, and so people.
Twitter.
There's just Twitter.
It builds on culture.
And a lot of echo chambers.
They got their own space.
Exactly. Now, you brought up something about the Klan. I want to pivot quickly on this because this was something that was super disappointing to me. So the Emmett Till case is officially being closed by DOJ. They did not pursue that woman who lied and resulted in this young man's death. Perhaps the production that is being mounted about his life through the eyes of his mother will shine enough disgrace on this woman whose lies perpetuated this national horror, so that she will live her final days in ignominy. But I am stunned. Well, not stunned. I shouldn't say stunned.
I'm about to say you cannot possibly be stunned.
I am disheartened that after so many years, when it was such a clear and monstrous injustice, that they did not seek to address the person at the heart of it. And it is definitely disappointing. It's super disappointing in the aftermath of shows like Lovecraft Country, which directly dealt with the Emmett Till tragedy and brought a new light, shone a new light on it. But it is what we are still in America, clearly. Thank you, Anthony. Yes, not surprised, but still disappointing. Especially when you see things like the Ahmaud Arbery verdict, which, we rightly celebrated. But of course, it was balanced by the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict, which was nonsense. And we're still, for those of you who are not completely up on things, we're in the middle of this Dante Wright trial, and today the testimony was, oh yeah, you best believe,
that cop will be getting off.
They are riding on that whole, she had a right to shoot him because he could have dragged her partner and all this other stuff, and despite the taser and I accidentally shot him, da 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 da. The testimony.
If she does get convicted, it'll be 3 years tops.
Oh yeah, but it's not looking good. I mean, every time we get a step forward, this is another law enforcement issue. This isn't like Tweedledee and Tweedledum and Tweedledummer in Georgia. This is a licensed law enforcement officer who was dealing with a quote-unquote fleeing assailant. And so when they said it was within the statutes that she was authorized to use deadly force based on his actions in the vehicle, it was like, nah, you ain't getting it. Because they're basically saying it wasn't a mistake. Even if she did think she was drawing her taser, it wasn't a mistake for her to shoot. So
I find it ironic how all these cases are back to back to back to back in the season 2. That's just an aside. I'm just kind of like,
yeah,
it's sport TV all day, every day.
Yeah, it's odd, the timing of these things. And it's also odd that we still live in a country in which these sorts of cases are still kind of like a daily occurrence.
Yeah, I am stunned considering what these 2 years have looked like. On what I don't. We need to really do a moment of silence for our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
There was a period people were like, I'm not my ancestor. Baby, you couldn't be your ancestor. You know what
At
I mean?
all.
I mean, our ancestors put up with some shit.
And did some shit in response.
And fought back to the best of their ability over the centuries, right? Young man, I need you to go somewhere. I'm having grown folks conversations. Go close that door. It just, some days I just sit still. I bought all the kids for my son's birthday the children's version of 1619 Project, the book that just came out, and it is just magnificent. Right? If you all have any kids in your lives under the age of 12 and under, get them that from babies to age of 12. I highly recommend it. It is because it's such a great introduction to the liberation of our experience. Mm-hmm. Right? It tells the truth, but it's done in such a way that give children an opportunity to ask the right questions. I have my son reading like 3 to 4 chapter books a week right now in his accelerated reading. And I have him doing a whole host of biography readings about our ancestors. And we were doing, I think it was like George Washington Carver or Booker T. Washington the other day. And he was like, so you mean like we weren't paid to do work?
Yeah.
And we weren't allowed, because of course he's a swimmer, so what stuck out, they do the whole big swimming pool thing. So like, I couldn't get in the swimming pool? Like, nah, dude. He's like, Mommy, what? I'm just angry. And and I'm like, how can this happen? And then he goes, did you experience that, Mommy? I was like, bitch, I ain't that old, right? So he was like, so you couldn't drink out of certain water fountains? So, we had to sit down and take it apart. But 1619 does this beautiful way of like peeling a banana, right? Mm-hmm. It really talks about the legacy of our people, how we got here, who we were. But they do it you could tell a psychologist had to really be a part of that project, the way they do the interpretation that create the conversation with your child in such an innocent but honest way. Mm-hmm. Extremely powerful, right? And it's so important, when you think about all these arguments of critical race theory in public schools.
Oh, come on.
Like, what the hell? What? And if somebody public school, an elementary school kid, I'm just like, where are these books at? I'm just like.
But that whole thing is just absolutely ridiculous. Since critical race theory was never something that was introduced in a grade school educational paradigm anyway. It was a collegiate level construct, and so it got buzzed into existence and people just picked it up, just like defund the police. It was just a convenient thing because race is in it and critical is in it. And so they just grabbed critical race theory and just started, we don't want our kids being taught the truth.
Well, and my own little parental protest is go to library. They go to library 3 times a week. Go to library and ask for Black books. And he said, I said, I want you to go in there and say, my mommy said I need to check out some Black books. And I'd be damned if 2-3 times a week he brings me home. He's educating me. He's bringing home people I barely have heard of. And I'm just like, okay. And then he'll slip in Betsy Ross and he'll slip in Benjamin Franklin over me. And I'm like, what? He's saying, because I don't know who these people are. I'm like, okay, I guess you got to learn about them too. Right. So, but it's so, I'm having a ball this season because I'm vicariously testing the system. He brought home George Washington Carver. He ain't bringing home Dr. King. He's bringing home, he even brought home the first biography of what's the little boy married to? Oh, Russell Wilson. I was like, damn, what's all these people? Just and the same week he brought home Jackie Robinson. You know what I mean? So it's so interesting. He's at predominantly white school in white suburbia, and this is his first year in public school. For the first 4 years of his life, he was at an all Black private school, all Black, right? So I look at through his eyes, one, that they don't see color. We on both ends, we are definitely the introducer to it, right? And his experience and his advocacy, now he's asking questions, right? Mm-hmm. I don't have to do what I realized I was doing, feeding the beast, right? He asked just random questions, but I make him do it in a neutral sense by reading.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is in that library about us and about our narrative, and let me see how critically you embrace it. Because when he's reading about us, he realizes it's him too.
Right.
So it becomes a real interesting conversation that he does in third person Black people. He just like, I can't believe this is history.
Have you seen the illustrated children's book series about John Lewis that contextualizes his early life and even Bloody Sunday into kind of like a graphic not? Yeah, it's
that would be a great Christmas present for your nephew. Y'all saw how I did that? Y'all see how I did that? Just in case.
She pulled the subtle flex. She was like, so T.O. Thomas, so why don't you get that set for me, bro?
Amazon all day.
Did you watch King Richard with Nalita?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
No, we also watched Colin Kaepernick. His birthday theme was Colin Kaepernick, so he didn't understand why I didn't invite no white kids. And I was like, I wouldn't have sent this to them. But we watched the whole. He kept coming in, and God, all the BS it was so for kids. It was so for identity politics and not knowing how they go through life. Mm-hmm. Completely, we're such a judgment phase because we've been through it all, and we mad, and our fists is up in the air. And but he loved it. I mean, Colin Kaepernick has become one of his heroes all on his own. And I love that.
Well, I think it's great that he recognizes the achievements of that outstanding Kappa man. So I am perfectly happy that my little nephew is appreciating, in addition to his T.O. Thomas, that he
did a homage to the beautiful Black chocolate woman. So I was like, go ahead with your crazy loony bin mama. But God bless her. Somebody had to raise you.
Yeah, somebody had to. So I think we are right about at an hour, and Joy, who is still probably en route to her destination and was not able to join us today, did, however, drop into the chat something which I think is worthy of our attention. And you might have to listen closely because it's a little bit tricky to hear. But when she dropped this into the chat, we all agreed that it was super gangstalicious. So I'm put the overlay on. Let's see if I can do this. And then I'm going to put the video on. So enjoy.
Opinion you have that might piss some people off.
White identifying women, don't fight me. Because we know you like to fake a tussle. How much of the animosity that you hold against Black women is rooted in the generational trauma of knowing that your husband, brother, fathers, grandfathers would rather force a Black woman than touch you? Now, before you get into the that was then and this is now argument, I bet his browser history tells a different story.
Oh my God.
So if you didn't hear him at the very top, first of all, he kind of set the stage because he didn't even say white women. He said white identifying women. so you gotta hear the subtle flex of what he did there. And I love he borrowed a Sharon tactic and just did the he kind of leaned into the camera just to make his point very clear. And the truthiness that was oozing out of CJ said, and oop. So basically what we're dealing with is we are still at our core interacting with each other on rules and guidelines that were set up for us as a society all the way back in the post-Civil War era. We are still dealing with the remnants and the psychological scars of the enslavement, of millions of African people, the subsequent degradation of them societally during the lynching era and the Jim Crow era and the emergence of civil rights, and just now getting into a phase where, quote unquote, we could say in the emergence of the 70s, perhaps, that there might be a little bit of a sense of equanimity. And that's not even really true, because we have moved into the whole Black Lives Not Mattering phase of the resurgence of basically a reactivation of lynching by state-sponsored actors. Before, you had to be hooded if you were going to be lynching a brother and you were a cop. Now, you can just be out here and doing whatever you want. And that is at the heart of the problem. Sharon, as we head into our holiday season, I don't know what we're going to be doing. I don't want this to be the last show of the year, because
we're going to do a holiday show for sure.
We're going to do a holiday show for show. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I can wait, Andrea, and can afford to be a little uppity maybe. There you go. Yes, depending on which district you live in, you can definitely afford to be uppity when you're doing what you're doing, when you're doing your dirt. So I am looking forward to the four of us being on. I'll even freeze some gumbo bowls and send it to you so we can all have some gumbo together. But we definitely need to have a show where we can actually celebrate. We can actually get our licorces and
we might do it on the 23rd.
23rd.
Oh,
that's the third. Yeah, that's right. That would not be bad. We could do it on the 23rd, right before Crema Eve.
Crema Eve, yeah.
We could do Crema Eve, and then we can figure out how we're going to do the rest of it. But Sharpies, we love you. We thank you for being with us. We would love for you to. She said, "Send me." CJ wants some of that gumbo. I'm gonna have to teleport it for you.
23rd, we got a surprise for y'all. Y'all will have something. We'll have something for y'all to drop in the chat.
Oh, okay. Sharon doing things. So, we would love for you to have people subscribe to us. I'm gonna drop our little our subscribe video when we do the countdown, and we just want you to join and grow the family, be with us, grow with us. 2022 can bring some very exciting things. I've already done something which I have been wanting to do for a very long time. I can't mention it right now, but hopefully by the time we come back, I will be able to officially mention it. But it's something of which I am very proud and I'm very pleased. And so I am definitely looking forward to it. And I just want to thank everybody for coming and joining our show. Sharon with that tease. That's right. See? She being real tricksy, ain't she?
We'll all be in front of our Christmas tree. We're going to set up we got it coming.
We got something. We got something coming for you. So with that, I will say I am Tom Cunningham.
I am Sharon Letman Hicks.
And this is Steel Sharpens Steel.